Everybody, it's lovely to be here and see all these masked people and a few bare faces. I've missed seeing all of you. Is there any announcement before we begin our service? So today, much of our service honors the cycles of life evident in the land that surrounds us. We light this candle in gratitude for the care that indigenous people have had for this land that we now use. Care that has maintained and preserved the balance of nature. So welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Westside Congregation in Rio Rancho, otherwise known as just Westside or UUWC. We're really happy that you're here today, and in the sanctuary and in person, and those who are with us online. I'm Reverend Julia Fancutchin, and our speaker today is Reverend Nancy Hitt, our consulting minister. Together, we hope to bring you a unique May Day experience that enriches your understanding of the history of the day and of our own congregation. The program is based on principle number 3, acceptance of one another and the encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, and source 6, spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. We hope that you are surprised and delighted by the opportunities we'll have in today's program. As part of our celebration today, we'll be exploring several different meanings of May Day. Now, for those of you who actually read the newsletter, you know that Reverend Nancy promised a special May basket to whomever could name 3 different meanings of May Day without looking them up first. 3 different names, 3 different meanings. Anybody want to have a go?
Anybody have a clue as to what those 3 could be? 3 being a number of completion. Arwen,
One is,
can you take your mask down? Thank you.
maidens wash their face, and women wash their face in the first morning dew, and it's supposed to help them attract a lover.
Okay, so the ancient fertility rites. 2 more. No, the same person has to have 3. We will get to the collaborative effort if we must.
I was going to say sex in the woods and fields.
Oh, that's all ancient fertility. That's a category. I need 2 more meanings of the term May Day, but you had just the one? Okay, does anybody else feel like they've got 2 more different ones themselves?
Judy raised her hand and...
Well, for one.
No, because I wanted to be able to give the prize to the person who knew. Okay, Melinda says she's got all 3. Go for it.
Beltane, Workers of the World Unite, and well, the Maypole May Day celebrating the pagans. But there was something I read online yesterday that said if you plant your cucumbers on May 1st before the sun comes, and they have to be planted by a naked young man, then your cucumbers will be bug-free for the season.
Well, some of us are just out of luck with that one. Okay, that's a whole cluster of ancient fertility stuff. Plus, you're right, the industrial workers. And we're missing the most obvious meaning of May Day. Stacy.
You need help.
Yeah, May Day, May Day, May Day, 3 times. I need help. We all need help. Okay, so the deal was supposed to be, I put together this lovely towel-lined, because that's recyclable, reusable, May basket for the person who was going to come up with the 3 things without cheating by looking them up on Google. I think, Melinda, you came the closest. So I'm going to hand this off to you. I will tell the rest of you that there is an assortment of candy and fruit and a tea towel in here as our first official ginormous May basket, which is also a part of May Day. So,
And then I will pass it on to the social
As always, dependent on a lot of people. We thank Karen and Delbert Schaefer for serving as greeters, Steve Poyani for videotaping our service, Dana Sanford for monitoring the sound system, and our thanks to all of you for your presence here this morning. If this is your first contact with Westside, we welcome you especially, and we invite anyone who is here and was brave enough to stand up and introduce yourself. Is any brand new person visiting this morning?
Or you can just wave and we'll wave
Somebody's
back.
outed. Oh, yes, sir.
I'm Tom, and this is Catherine, and we are visiting you from San Diego and Port Angeles, Washington, where I'm a member of the fellowship there.
Welcome. So glad you're here. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes,
I'm
Patty.
Patty, and I live here in Rio Rancho, and I'm visiting because I've been to the other churches at the Unitarian, so we wanted to check this out.
Okay, I hope they got a good grade. Okay. Well, if this is your first contact and you're online, we also welcome you and would like to make a more personal connection. So you could email Reverend Nancy at ministeruuwc@gmail.com. And for everybody in the sanctuary, contact information is on the back of your bulletin. So first, please put your name on a Post-it to be collected later. Everybody done that? Everybody's, okay. 6 people were here between 7 a.m. and noon to work on the church grounds. They pulled weeds and raked paths and groomed grounds for next Saturday's World Labyrinth Day event. So both of our labyrinths are now in really good shape. Let's have a round of applause. Thank you for the applause and the work that they did. Next Saturday, from 1 to 2:30, we'll participate in the Walk as One event. This means that at 1 p.m. local time, around the globe, people will gather to walk their labyrinths, creating hopefully a whole wave of walking around the world. So we hope you come, and we hope you bring friends and family who might be curious about labyrinths or want to find one nearby. If you're not familiar with the labyrinth yourself, it's a good time to learn, and there will be people on site to answer any questions and provide any information you'd like. And the building will be open for access to water and the facilities. The board meets today following our coffee hour in the social hall. And then Reverend Nancy will begin a 2-week vacation period. 2 weeks. She has definitely earned it, but I already feel like I miss her. In an emergency, please contact any member of the board, that would include me, during her absence, and she'll return to the pulpit on May 22nd. You'll receive a short newsletter to remind you of important events during her absence. Are there any other announcements which need to be made? Yes, ma'am.
The cleaning committee is in desperate need of some new volunteers. We have somebody who's let me know way in advance. I forget whether it's October or November. She can't do her week. And we like to have 2 people or sets of people on each of the 4 Sundays and the 5th Sunday when it comes around. And we're really short, and so we're kind of making do and keeping up. And I'm Melinda Lewis, and anybody can contact me if they have the slightest bit of interest in coming once a month and even just cleaning a little bit. You don't have to take on the entire church to clean.
Thank you, Melinda. Anything else on people's minds that needs to be announced? Then please stand as you're able and join us in lighting our chalice. Join me in the words. Our
Flame inspires us to pursue lives of excellence, to change the world for good. May the fire we see ignite the fire in our hearts, equipping us in every good thing. Shalom.
Now let's join together in saying our aspirations.
Life is a gift. We gather together in community to celebrate the glories and mysteries of this great gift. truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Shalom.
Now, if you would please open your hymnal to number 126. And we are definitely going to sing the first verse. Is this on? It is. Okay. Are you all hearing clearly? Okay, just wanted to make sure. So we're going to sing the first verse, and if we're good and you're having fun, we'll sing the fourth. If it's too much work, then the first will suffice. Make sense? Ah, third. Sorry. First and last. You know, work with me here. I can tell this is going to be fun. Okay. Come the fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. What do you think?
Let's go for it.
You want to go for it?
Yes.
Says the new guy. Okay. Then for that alone, we will do it. Verse 3. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves to union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earthy fair as heaven above. Thank you. Please be seated. I invite you to join me now in a moment for centering. To sit back in your seat, relaxed yet upright. To uncross your ankles, your knees, your wrists. Let the energy flow unimpeded through your body. Close your eyes if you are comfortable doing so. Or choose a focal point and let your gaze go soft. Clear your mind of to-do lists and stray thoughts. Power yourself down and sink into the rhythm of your breath. Breathing in fully and deeply. Breathing out as completely as you can. Breathing in energy. Breathing out tension. Breathing in creativity. Breathing out stagnation. Breathing in new life. Breathing out stale remains. Simply breathe, feeling yourself alive. feeling your personal energy growing within you. Let the fire and fertility of the growing season take root in your heart. Smell the richness of the earth. Hear the sound of moving water. Dig your fingers into the garden of new life. In this rich peace, let an image of new growth appear in your mind's eye. Perhaps a plant, or an animal, or a person, or a place. Watch closely as it reveals itself. Speaking a single word for you to take to heart. Hold on to that word. Treasure it in your heart. Put it in a special place in your mind that you can return to explore and expand it. Continue to sit peacefully in this inner growing space, returning your attention to your breathing. Full, deep breaths in and out, and in and out. Gather yourself up and begin to return your attention to the here and now. And when you are ready, open your eyes. Shalom. Sharing the highlights, both the joys and the challenges of our personal lives, renews our connection to each other and our sense of community as we gather each week. If you have something you would like to share, please raise your hand and I will bring you the mic, and then Julia will light a candle for each one. If you are viewing this on video, please feel free to light your personal candle at any point in time.
I have a few different joys.
Okay.
Yesterday, I got to spend the morning with my little Nellie from baby number 40. And then I got to see the Tater Tots last night, who are now 10 and a half. And Savannah graduates college on the 14th and then goes into her PhD program this fall. And I'm not sure the bank account is too joyful about this, but I booked my flight to Fargo for the end of June to go back for my 35th high school reunion and see family and friends.
Fantastic. Others?
My joy is that yesterday, for the first time since moving to Albuquerque, I went to the Gathering of the Nations. And the pageantry and the color and the joy of celebrating their tribal identity was so deep that it almost brought me to tears at times. And then we got to see some of the dancing, the competition, which started with the Tiny Tots. And if you have not gone, go just for that. Because they have babies that can just start walking up to about 4 or 5 years old. And some of the competition dancers were chasing each other, one another around the circle. And it just brought so much joy to see the babies have so much fun.
Thank you. I guess I should say I was very sorry to have missed that, but I went to something else that probably wasn't as great. It was great. I had registered for it. The, whatever county we are, indivisible all-day conference at which some wonderful legislators spoke so terrifically. Is her name Stanberry? Then our governor, then Teresa spoke, and somebody else whom I can't think of now. They were wonderful. They were inspirational, and we had very good workshops too.
Okay.
Since Judith has brought up politics, I have to say that early voting begins May the 10th. It is just around the corner. It's very easy to vote. Any voting place you can vote. You don't have to go to the one that you think you have to go to. So please keep that in mind. There are some important primary races happening. And if you want to know who to vote for, just contact me.
A concern again for Sandy Hines, who had to go to the ER this morning.
I have a great joy in that my 36-year-old son, Brendan, is in 3 weeks is marrying the love of his life, the first person that he ever met who really, they wanted to be life partners, you know, and he waited and waited, and I'm so excited about this, about ever since they announced it. It's just the most beautiful moment, and so blessings on them as this spring grows.
Anyone or anything else? Right, we also do want to light a couple of candles of concern, none of them life-threateningly serious. We will continue to light one for Bram and Roxy. Bram is recuperating well from her emergency surgery. She is home, she is comfortable. However, we will not see her here for several more weeks, which means if somebody feels moved to take on her self-appointed task of watering the plants in the sanctuary and the social hall on Sundays in her absence, please let me know. Don't just do it, because if 6 people do it, we'll kill them with kindness. However, that would be important for Bram and for Roxy. Dee is not here. She was here yesterday working on the grounds. She said she had a cold then. I got a text at 5 a.m. this morning. The woman was up, her cold was not better, and she decided the close spacing here in the sanctuary would not be to anyone's advantage. So she's home nursing her cold, and somewhere I have an index card with a third thing on it.
I think it's in the back of the sanctuary.
Oh, all right. Hold on. I'm sorry, but my brain is...
The sign-in sheet.
What?
On the sign-in sheet.
On the sign-in sheet.
And?
Yes. Ta-da! It's actually a joy. Donna and her husband Gary are camping. This is their big pagan camping weekend, and she will be networking, and hopefully the two of them together will have a deeply meaningful and really happy time. And then we will light one final candle for all of the joys and concerns that we still hold in the privacy of our own hearts. The red candle with the long light.
I was going to use that.
We light this red candle in solidarity and in sorrow for all the victims of racial violence. May its flame inspire us to continue to be vigilant in our pursuit of racial justice for all the people of Earth. Shalom. Now, I got a few pounds on Bram. I got a few I'd like to give her. However, seeing as that's not possible, the following animal ministry moment is in her honor. Each week, we take a moment to remind ourselves that we share the earth with a huge and complex variety of other creatures. So today, I'm going to share 3 stories in which animals responded to urgent human distress. As we think about May Day, it may have occurred to us, thank you, Stacy, that the words Mayday, 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 the 3-time repetition is important. If you are actually signaling distress, you have to say it 3 times. It is a distress call signifying a life-threatening emergency. While ships and other vehicles that use Morse code use SOS as their distress signal, as humanity took to the air, there was a need for a universal radio or spoken distress call. The Mayday call sign was originated in 1923 by Frederick Stanley Mockford. A senior radio officer at Croydon Airport in London, Mockford was asked to think of a word that would indicate distress and be easily understood by all pilots and ground staff in an emergency. Since much of the air traffic at the time was between Croydon, where he was, and an airport in Paris, he proposed the word Mayday from the French words meaning "come help me," which I can't pronounce for you, so I didn't even bother to try. Just take my word for it. While none of these animal rescuers that I'm going to tell you about in a moment ever heard or were even capable of recognizing the Mayday call, they definitely did recognize human distress, and they responded in unique ways. So here are 3 unique to animals and us Mayday stories. The Philippine Navy has documented the story about Candelaria Villanueva, a 62-year-old woman who survived a shipwreck because a sea turtle saved her life. The Navy crew members that retrieved her from the back of the sea turtle confirmed her story, reporting that she was, in fact, hanging onto the back of the giant animal. Villanueva says that following the shipwreck, she was drifting and struggling to hold on to something to stay afloat when the turtle came along and she was able to grab on to her shell. The animal swam with her on its back for 2 whole days without stopping to dive down into the depths of the ocean for food. When she was finally rescued by the sailors on the ship, the turtle even made sure that she was in safe hands by circling the ship 3 times before diving back down into the sea. Now here's an entirely different kind of rescue. A 12-year-old Ethiopian girl was kidnapped by 7 men who were trying to force her, against her will, to marry one of them back in 2005. For over a week, they tortured her by beating and assaulting her until rescuers realized what was going on. 3 powerful lions came to this little girl's rescue and chased the 7 men away. Then they stood guard around her until the authorities were able to get to the crime scene. Amazingly, lions are aware about violent assault because this is how they survive in the wilderness when they isolate injured lions from predators. The girl was finally taken in by authorities and safely sent home, and no one was harmed by the 3 lions. And lastly, here's a creature which risked its own life. In 2008, the 2008 tsunami in Thailand, 8-year-old Amber Mason got separated from her family. If not for a kind-hearted elephant named Ningnong, Amber would have been washed away by the first tidal wave. When the tsunami struck, Amber was riding on Ningnong's back. The animal intuitively stopped and turned its back to the wave, just as it was about to crash on them, protecting the little girl from the intense force of the water. And the good news is both of them survived. So there you have it, 3 different stories of wild animals responding to the life-preserving need of a human being, illustrating one meaning of May Day in a very special way. Now, our moment for all ages, we're going to switch gears on the meaning of May Day, so work with me here. This is a completely unrelated meaning of May Day from what we were just talking about that is specific to our history as the United States. May 1st was also originally International Workers' Day. It began here in the US in May of 1886, when 400,000 workers in many different parts of the United States went on strike, demanding an 8-hour working day, mind you, without loss of compensation, same salary, less hours. The strike started peacefully, but on the 3rd day of protests in Chicago, there was violence. The police shot at unarmed workers, killing several of them. The next day, there were more protests, and someone threw a bomb. 7 police officers and 4 workers were killed by the bomb or police shooting just after the bomb. The person who threw the bomb was never identified, but 8 workers were arrested. 7 of them were sentenced to death, of which 4 were hung. The other 3 were released 6 years later, and one of them had been sent to prison for 15 years. This event is known as the Haymarket Affair, and it was very important in bringing working people together in the USA. Many people didn't believe that the men arrested were guilty and thought that the trial was, and it still is thought of, as unfair. The Haymarket Affair became the international symbol of the struggle for workers' rights, and May 1st was chosen to be International Workers' Day. On this day, which is today, socialist parties and trade unions call for workers to demonstrate for the 8-hour day without any reduction in pay and in favor of peaceful protests. The 8-hour working day became law for public workers in 1892 here in the US. Since then, workers' movements all over the world have continued to fight for and to win this right. The day, today, May 1st, is still celebrated in over 80 countries. But here in the United States, it got moved to the first Monday of September and renamed as Labor Day in an effort to separate the support of labor from the violence of the Haymarket Affair by then-President Grover Cleveland. At this time, the US and Canada celebrate our workers on Labor Day, as we know it in September, while most of the rest of the world still observe it today, May 1st, as the holiday dedicated to appreciation and fair treatment of all workers. Shalom.
As our ushers pass the offering baskets, we thank you for all of your gifts of love and commitment that you share with this community. We are, as you know, totally dependent on our mutual efforts to keep this place functioning. It's so important and meaningful to so many of us. For the gifts you give of every sort, we thank you.
Now, when the baskets come back around, we always pour one into the other. There will be an empty basket, which is going to be recircled through the sanctuary. And I would ask you to take the Post-it note on the back of your program on which you have written the first name you would like to be called and known by, as well as your last name very legibly. And when the basket comes round again, just put your little name tag in that basket, and I will explain what we're going to do with that later. Dana, could you bring that one, or start it to the back to the front? That's great. Okay, so while we're circulating the basket for your name tags,
No, this is
Just the red Post-it on the back of your bulletin is what we're looking for, yes. And we know this chorus, many of us by heart. It's at number 402, if you're not familiar with it. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Red Post-its go in the basket as it comes round. And now that she's had a chance to put her Post-it in, I'm going to ask Karen Schaefer to come forward and make a lovely presentation.
I would like to ask Jay
Karen,
to
if you
join
could use
me
the-
and
Karen?
Sherry to join me.
Karen!
Oh, sorry.
You need to use the mic so that everybody
I'm
can
sorry.
hear. You come up here.
Oh, no, I want to.
Oh, you want to, okay, well then.
Thank you. I've asked Sherry and Jay to join me. Jay is, of course, the head of the board, and Sherry is the liaison who was originally appointed and asked to be our liaison between the church, the congregation, and Feed Rio Rancho Kids. And I want to say that our year, or whatever length it has been here, has been very productive and very helpful, and I thank each and every one of you who has given money, given your time, helped put the packets together, and allowed us to store everything back there. Jay has helped with online information, and Sherry has not only put packets together, but every Friday has delivered some of them to one of our schools. So thank you to the church, thank you to Sherry, and thank you to everyone here and everyone who has helped and couldn't be here today. Oh, come closer.
Here.
Okay, here we go. And we hope this finds a home somewhere at the church.
We will
also
find a
take
really
it.
good place for it.
Thank you.
Now, where did the basket of name tags get to?
We're working on it.
Did everybody have a chance to put their name tag in it? Okay. Dana, if you could give me this, thank you. I'm going to give this to you. Good job, Dana. And ask you to join Patty and Bob on that front pew, because people are going to pull one out of those.
You're coming up to me.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, now, this is going to get complex. You're going to love it. It goes like this. In the interest of time and wanting to honor yours and not hold you late, etc., we are going to do stuff during the sermon instead of waiting and doing it separately. So here's the deal. While I am speaking, in a few moments, don't leave yet, please come up, take a paper cone, fill it, start with a flower because it's May Day and it's all about flowers. So fill it with a flower, with candy. There are small stones to ground you, with a little votive tea light for illumination, for pens. In my brain, they're wisdom, because you know, you're right with them. All kinds of candy, and I've been told this looks like a highly suspicious substance. However, let me assure you that all I am passing out are what was in this box with the picture of the flowers that is called hummingbird seed mix. As in, these are flower seeds. So the deal is we have fertility and sweet things and wisdom and all kinds of great stuff here to make our very own May baskets with. Now, here's my sincere, heartfelt plea. Do not obsess over this. Just do it. Because I know how UUs work. We all want to make our own decisions and we want to think them through. There is no time for that. Seriously. So, I'm going to deliver the sermon material about May Day, and I invite you to listen to that. But to come up and, as I said, take a cone, put stuff in it, and then go back to your seat. The last thing you need to do is to stop by Julia and pick out one of the red tags with a name. As long as it's not yours, you can't change it. Just pick one out and then go back to your seat. So, I'm going to put these things back. Come up, take a cone, fill it with whatever you'd like, get a name from Julia, and go back to your seat. Any questions? Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, go for it. You're on your own. Now, for everybody who's not standing in line or making a May basket right this second, here's some more information about May Day. We have said from the beginning of our time together today that May Day has at least 3 major meanings for people. What brings those 3 together is the focus on celebrating life. First, through the distress call. May Day, May Day, May Day, that brings help to sustain and preserve life that is in danger. Then through International Workers' Day, which our country had a unique role in launching, demanding work hours and conditions that allowed all workers to have meaningful lives that were not stolen from them by their jobs. And now we come to the most primal, most ancient meaning of May Day for people. Enter the maypole and the May dance and May baskets. Historians have suggested that maypole dancing originated in Germany and traveled to the British Isles, courtesy of the invading Roman forces. In Great Britain, the dance became part of a fertility ritual held every spring in some areas. By the Middle Ages, most villages had an annual maypole celebration. In rural areas, the maypole was typically erected on the village green, but a few places, including some urban neighborhoods in London, had a permanent maypole that stayed up year-round. You may be interested to know that we own our very own maypole, and it has been erected out of doors, not today, but we have used it numerous times to celebrate. The ritual was also popular in ancient Rome. The late Oxford professor and anthropologist E.O. James discusses the maypole's connection to Roman traditions in his 1962 article, The Influence of Folklore on the History of Religion. Now, James says that trees were stripped of their leaves and limbs and then decorated with garlands of ivy, vines, and flowers as part of the Roman spring celebration. This may also have been part of the festival of Floralia, which began on April 28th. Other theories include that the trees, or poles, were wrapped in violets as an homage to the mythical couple Attis and Cybele. In British Isles, the maypole celebration usually took place the morning after Beltane, which was actually last night. A celebration to welcome spring that includes a big bonfire. When couples performed the maypole dance the morning after, they had usually come staggering in from the fields, clothes in disarray, and straw in their hair after a night of lovemaking. Beltane and May Day are, after all, part of the ancient cycle celebrating fertility for both crops and creatures. This led 17th century Puritans to frown upon the use of the maypole in any celebration. After all, it was a gigantic phallic symbol in the middle of the village green. There were also attendant circular symbols. A crown of flowers was often placed on the top of the pole, and women adorned themselves with circlets of flowers in their hair. Cake. You're really going to like this part. Cake is also associated with May Day. It is a round delight that signifies the feminine and satisfies the appetite, which is why there are 2 round, ring-shaped coffee cakes set out on the table in the social hall for you to enjoy with your coffee later on. And before you raise your eyebrows too high at the symbolic relationship between cake and the feminine, recall that birthday cakes, particularly round birthday cakes, represent the placenta as a life-giving connection between mother and child. So the cake is all about the female. When the British settled in the US, they brought the maypole tradition with them. In Plymouth, Massachusetts, in 1627, a man named Thomas Morton erected a giant maypole in his field. He brewed a batch of hearty mead and invited the village lasses to come frolic with him. His neighbors were appalled, and Plymouth leader Miles Standish, whose name you probably remember from a different story of that era, Miles Standish himself came along to break up the sinful festivities. Now, Morton wrote a song for everyone to sing, but it's highly erotic, so you'll have to look that up on your own if you're interested. I really wanted to be able to read it to you, and I thought, nah, I just can't. But I suggest you Google it. It's fun. In England and in the United States, the Puritans managed to squash the maypole celebration for several centuries. But by the late 19th century, the custom regained popularity as the British people took an interest in their country's rural traditions. This time around, the poles appeared as part of church May Day celebrations, which included dancing, but were more structured than the wild maypole dances of centuries past. Today, some people celebrate the 1800s sedate revival as a traditional custom, while for many pagans, both Beltane and May Day are extremely important spiritual events, celebrating fertility, unity, and creativity. As I mentioned, we do have our very own maypole, and Cups does use it for celebrations. This is a joyous holiday focused on life and light and transformation. All good things. Now, one more aspect of May Day that some of us may have experienced are May baskets. Did anybody here do this when they were a kid? Yeah, me too. It exists in pockets. May baskets are handmade paper or cardboard baskets filled with small treats and trinkets. They were hung on a neighbor's door as a gift. It was a May Day tradition that celebrated life in a close-knit community, neighborly familiarity and friendship, as well as the changing seasons. May baskets were constructed from paper or cardboard or shoe boxes, sometimes with the paper woven or shaped into a cone, just like you have. A visually appealing basket was key, requiring decorations such as brightly colored tissue paper, crepe paper, paper flowers or real flowers, and often included nuts, candy, fruit, berries, etc. Fun things. The real excitement and fun of the May basket came in hanging it on the door as well as in making it. Taking place at dusk, it was a thrilling game for children, similar to hide and seek. The challenge was to approach the house of the selected recipient, undetected, and then hang the basket on their door, knock on it really hard or ring the bell if they had one, and then run for dear life. Because inside the house, whoever answered the door and found the May basket was responsible for chasing you until they caught you. And the deal was, then they could kiss you. And let me tell you, when I was growing up, and Johnny Muley across the street, my mother made me take a May basket to, I was so determined to run faster than Johnny. But you know, we all grow up and things change, so whatever. May baskets are a fun part, and in pockets here and there in New England and in various pockets throughout the United States, people still do make May baskets. Now, May baskets also are part of our official presidential history. 2 kids hung May baskets on the White House front door. You gotta remember, security was vastly different back in the days. 2 children hung May baskets on the White House front door on May Day of 1925. First Lady Grace Coolidge found the 2 kids, her admirers, and gave them flowers that she had picked in return. And then, in 1938, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt received a May basket of flowers from 2 little girls. There are photos of this event online, and I was really both surprised and thrilled to recognize that one of the 2 little girls is a child of color. Eleanor looks extraordinarily serious, but then she almost does in every photograph you ever see of her. So, now you're beginning to understand some of what you've been looking at during the service, what I just asked you to do. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hand Julia a microphone, and I'm going to take a microphone, and this is what we're asking each of you to do. Everybody got a red name tag that's not their own, correct? Okay, we are going to hand off the microphones to you and ask you to read the name on your name tag out loud into the microphone. And if you hear your name read, please stand up, because the person who read your name is going to give you the May basket they made.
Wow. I'm not going to chase me? To get a kiss?
No, it's too dicey around here to chase.
Okay.
However, so I'm going to give you that.
Very fast.
There you go.
Dana Sanford.
Okay. Stand up,
Go,
you take
Dana.
his May basket. Why don't you do your side?
Ruth Tucker.
Where is Ruth? In the back there.
Ricky Scott.
No, that's okay. No, don't read yours yet. Just,
Ruth.
she's got,
Okay.
Les Golder.
no, we're all set. Did you make one before? Oh,
Louis.
Oh, okay, then just there.
Belinda.
She's coming.
There you go.
Carrie Sutter.
That one's easy.
Patty. The winner.
Thank you.
Want to read the name on your name?
Steve Polani.
Oh, lucky dog, Silver.
Can I get a kiss?
I said I have Judy.
Oh,
Judy.
Judy.
okay. Yours. Go ahead.
Michelle Williams.
Michelle.
You're going to end up giving it to this person.
Jane Kane.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on this round, Judy.
Eric Madsen.
Yes.
Stand up, Eric.
Everything.
Great.
Keep yours.
Thank you.
Keep yours, Eric.
Is that my name?
Okay.
Keep yours, Eric. Have a seat.
I keep both.
Rosalie Douglas. Rosalie Douglas.
Right here. I'm standing in the way. There you go. Here, I'll take the microphone and you take her May basket.
Chase Poe.
Very proud.
Jamie Hart.
Oh, stay right there, Jamie. That's Jamie standing up.
Perfect timing.
Stacy. Quebec. Debbie Key. Stacy.
Stacy.
Oh, you didn't get anything for me.
Sit down.
Sherry Nippy.
Arwen, not late for 7.
Arwen, stand up.
Did I miss anybody?
Happy May.
Bob Smiley Face.
Bob Smiley. There you are.
All right.
Yes, you did.
Have I gotten everybody on my
Tom
side?
Massey.
That's Tom.
Karen Schaefer.
Happy May Day.
Delbert Shaver.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you all set? Okay. Eric, can you read the name right here?
Nika Quirk.
All right,
Nika is right here. hand this off to you. Thank you so much. All right. Jack,
Laurel Anderson.
down in the front.
I'll call over there.
All right, she'll come to you.
Thank you, happy May Day.
Welcome. Catherine Scott.
That's Catherine. Are you good to go? Okay. There we go.
Vicky Scott.
Happy May Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Jack Meyer.
Okay.
He's coming behind you, it's okay. He's coming.
Right here.
Oops, sorry. Steve, do you have a name?
Already gave.
Oh, you did it, okay. Did everybody get a chance to read somebody else's name tag and swap off their May basket? Great. I hope now we have a better sense of who's who, because, well, seriously, we have been blessed beyond measure with new folks coming into membership within the last couple of weeks, with visitors stopping by on a regular basis, and all that sort of thing. And while it's grand, people keep coming up to me and saying, "Who is that?" And I can't always remember either. So I really wanted us to be able to connect with each other and celebrate May Day and a sense of community. And if nothing else, you got to sit and passively see people stand up in response to their name. And I invite you to find whoever gave you your May basket or whoever you gave one to during coffee hour and have a conversation that you might not otherwise have had. And it's perfectly okay to have one about how crazy your consulting minister is. I would not be Okie doke. We are appropriately out of time. And in view of that, we'll just skip the song and go to extinguishing our chalice in the benediction. So if you could stand as you are able and join me in the words to extinguishing our chalice. The stuffer's right there, Julie. Probably can get at it better. Okay, as long as you got it. Extinguished from sight, our chalice flames still burn steadily within our hearts. May we become beacons of light and love and hope and justice, and may we be a source of sheer joy in our world. Amen and blessed be. May the fertile creative energy of this ancient holiday pervade your life, offering you repair, renewal, and reconnection with yourself, your community, and your world. Slava. Now, if we would face each other across the center aisle, we will sing Go Down in Peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. And if you go to the social hall, there are 2 different kinds of cake. Have at it.